My brother mocked me at the pool. Look who finally showed up, the wallet in flip-flops. My mom added, at least be useful and grill. I just smiled and said, I'll do something useful. Then I quietly left, turned off all the streaming apps, disconnected the shared gas fund, and flagged the grocery bill as unauthorized. At 9 p.m., they called, begging me to come over and talk. Without thinking twice, I replied. Even after booking a $900 house with a pool for the weekend, filling their gas tank, and spending over $300 on groceries, they still treated me like I was just the help. Nothing new. That's how it's always been. I was the convenient one. The problem solver. The wallet. I booked the place because I thought it might feel good to just have a calm few days with my family. We hadn't done something like this in years. Every time I tried to plan something before, it turned into a debate about costs, or someone had a last-minute emergency that prevented them from pitching in. So this time, I didn't even ask. I just handled everything. The place was perfect. Pool, grill, enough space for everyone to sleep comfortably, and it wasn't even that far, just a 30-minute drive from all of us. But from the moment I showed up, I knew it was a mistake. I was 40 minutes late, and I already felt guilty about that, even though I had to stop to pick up the kind of hot dogs Dad likes and a case of that low-end beer he always pretends to hate but drinks first. I walked through the side gate with 2 grocery bags in one hand and a small cooler in the other, and right away Kyle shouted across the yard, Look who finally showed up, the wallet in flip-flops. It got a laugh. Not a big one, but just enough to make me feel like I had walked into a group of people who were already on the same page, and I wasn't part of it. Mom didn't even look up from her magazine. She just said, at least be useful and grill. No. Thanks for booking the place. No. How are you? No one asking if I needed help with the bags. Just more of what I already knew. I was the guy they called when something needed to be paid for. I was the one they joked about when I wasn't around. I was the soft spot they could land on, but only so they could push off again. I smiled. I'll do something useful. I didn't even set the food down. I walked back to the car, loaded everything into the trunk, shut it gently, and drove off. Not a word to anyone. No one stopped me. No one followed. I pulled into a strip mall parking lot a few miles away and just sat in silence for a few minutes. I wasn't angry. Not exactly. Just done. So I opened my phone and started cutting the cords. First, I removed my card from the shared gas fund Kyle and Dad had been using for over a year. Then I logged into all the streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, HBO Max, and changed every password. Logged out all devices. Removed my card from Amazon. Then I flagged the last grocery charge as unauthorized. That one felt petty, but I did it anyway. By 9 p.m., the calls started. 11 total. The 9th one I picked up. Mike, Dad said, trying to sound neutral. Let's not blow this out of proportion. Come back. We were just joking. I said sure. I'd come talk. The house was only 15 miles away. It took everything in me not to turn around halfway, but I figured it was time to say things I should have said years ago. When I pulled back in, the energy had completely changed. Mom opened the door like I was the guest of honor. Kyle tried to make a joke but swallowed it halfway through. Emily looked like she'd rehearsed a list of reasons why I should forgive them. They apologized. Sort of. Said it was just teasing. Family stuff. I was too sensitive. They never meant any harm. I told them I understood. I told them it was okay. I even smiled. I want you all to have what you need, I said. They relaxed. For the first time that day, they actually looked like a family. You'll have everything, I continued, as soon as you find a job. And Kyle finds one that pays more than $1,200 a month. Because I'm not paying his rent anymore. Everything stopped. You could hear the pool filter humming in the background. Mom blinked like she misheard me. Dad leaned back slowly like someone had turned gravity up. Emily stared at me, then laughed nervously. You're joking. No, I said. I'm done paying for grown adults who won't help themselves. Emily's face went blank, and then the tears came fast. She kept saying, we can't afford $700 rent alone. I don't work, I'm a woman. No one responded. Not even Kyle. I looked at all of them one more time. Good luck. Don't contact me for a while. Then I got in my car and left. I didn't even hear the door close behind me. The next morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating like it owed them something. 22 messages. 9 missed calls. A couple voicemails, 1 from Mom, 2 from Emily, and 1 from a number I didn't even recognize, probably Dad using someone else's phone since I ignored his. I didn't listen to any of them. I didn't open a single text. I spent the day working, made dinner in silence, went for a walk, and for the first time in years, I wasn't calculating anyone else's mess in the back of my mind. No more surprise Venmo requests labeled. Just this one time. No more passive-aggressive texts about how lucky I was to have a steady income. They didn't know it yet, but this version of me, calm, clean, and unbothered, was permanent. 3 days passed. Dead quiet. That's when Kyle called. No meme this time, no half-jokes. Just his voice. Flat. Hey, can you come over? Mom made dinner. Everyone's here. They want to talk. It didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a trap. But I said yes anyway. The same 15 miles, the same road I drove 100 times, but this time it felt like I was going to a meeting, not a meal. They were all already seated at the dining table like they'd rehearsed it. Emily was actually wearing something that wasn't a hoodie. Mom lit candles. Dad poured himself a drink like he needed to stay calm. Kyle looked like he hadn't slept. No one said anything for a full minute after I sat down. Then Dad spoke. We just want to talk, Mike. That's all. Mom jumped in. We think this has gone far enough. You've made your point. We were wrong. You've always been generous, and maybe we took it for granted. But this? Cutting everyone off, punishing the whole family? Emily crossed her arms but didn't say anything. For once. I listened. Didn't interrupt. Just waited. When they were done, I nodded. I understand, I said. I want to make sure you all have what you need. That lit something behind their eyes. Hope. Expectation. Familiar territory. I've been thinking about this for a while. So I found some solutions. I found a better paying job for Kyle. And one for Emily. And I lined up opportunities for Mom and Dad too. Remote options, stable hours, and actual benefits. Being 56 doesn't mean you stop trying, it means you adapt. They blinked. All of them. What kind of jobs? Dad asked, suspicious like I was selling them a timeshare. Jobs that pay you enough to live on. Kyle would be earning $3,800 a month. It's nothing luxurious, but it's honest. And it's better than working for $1,200 and waiting for me to bail you out. Kyle just sat there, staring into the table. Then he said, I'll do it. I'm tired of being broke. Silence. Mom looked at him like he'd betrayed her. Emily slowly turned toward me, face twisted. I'm not working, she said. I'm a woman. I didn't blink. You're an adult. You expect me to just get a job? Like some clerk or office drone? What about starting a family? I looked at Kyle. He didn't move. Didn't speak. He just kept his eyes down. Dad stood up. We're your family, Mike? Exactly, I said. That's why I won't let you keep using me. If we were strangers, I'd walk away completely. That's when the arguing started. Emily accused me of turning Kyle against her. Mom brought up everything from her bad knees to how she raised me. Dad called me ungrateful. I said nothing for most of it. Let them spill it all out. Rage, blame, confusion, whatever stage of grief they needed. After an hour, they were still trying to spin it. That I was being cold. That I'd changed. I had. Eventually, they all stood up and left. All except Kyle. He sat quietly, then finally looked at me. I don't know how I let it get like this. But thanks. I'll take the job. I nodded. That's all I needed to hear. 3 days passed like a test of who could hold their silence the longest. No calls. No texts. Just digital quiet, which, in this family, was practically an alarm bell. They weren't done, they were regrouping. That's how they always operated. Let things cool down, then circle back with a new strategy wrapped in guilt or sentimentality. But I wasn't waiting. Friday morning, I sent one message. Dinner at my place. 6 p.m. Just family. I have something to share. They all replied within 10 minutes. No questions. Just short confirmations. That alone told me everything. Curiosity had already replaced anger. At 5:55 p.m., they started showing up. First Mom and Dad. Dad was in a tucked-in polo, like this was a job interview. Mom carried a store-bought pie and pretended it was homemade. Then Kyle and Emily arrived. She didn't say much, just handed me a stiff hello and walked straight in. Kyle, though, gave me that look, the quiet, no-nonsense kind that meant he was serious. I remembered it from when we were kids and he'd finally make up his mind about something. That was rare. The dinner table looked nice. I made sure of it. Real silverware, cloth napkins, warm food. I wanted them comfortable. Alert. Expectant. We went through the motions, small talk about the weather, my new couch, a recent movie. All of it fake, hanging in the air like we were actors reading from an old script. I let them settle in. Then I stood up and tapped my glass. I know the past week wasn't easy. For anyone. But I meant everything I said. A long silence. No interruptions. That was new. I didn't just cut you off. I continued. I made space for you to stand on your own. And now I'm giving you the tools. I looked straight at Kyle. Your new job starts Monday, $3,800 a month. Benefits. Stability. And you deserve that. You're more than a guy scraping by on tips and part-time hours. He nodded. Just once. Then I turned to Emily. You have a remote position lined up for an interview Tuesday. Customer account support. They train you. You don't need a degree. Just a computer and internet. Which you already use to stream shows all day. She squinted. You really expect me to sit at a desk like some bored receptionist? I'm not built for that. I'm not supposed to be chasing paychecks. You've been living off mine, I said. And Kyle's. While saying you deserve rest. From what? She leaned back, arms crossed. I'm a woman, Mike. This isn't a debate. I'm not built for jobs like that. It's not a job built for men or women. It's built for adults who pay rent. The room tightened. No one moved. Then I turned to Mom and Dad. You're 56, not elderly. You can still work. I found 2 remote roles, customer care for a medical supply chain. You don't need to lift anything. Just answer questions on a screen. Mom scoffed. We raised you. You think we haven't earned a little rest in our life? You raised me, and I thank you for that. But raising a kid isn't a contract for unlimited financial support. It's life. You don't retire and hand your bills to your son. Dad's voice was low but sharp. You've changed. I had to, I said. I let you all depend on me until I couldn't tell where your needs ended and your expectations began. That's not generosity anymore. That's servitude. That's when the table cracked open. Not physically, but emotionally. Mom accused me of forgetting where I came from. Emily started ranting about how I was poisoning Kyle's thinking and trying to control everyone. Dad said I was cruel, heartless. That family doesn't do ultimatums. Kyle stayed silent. Just stared into his water glass like it held the answers. For nearly an hour, they went in circles, attacks, pleas, half-threats. I didn't yell. I didn't flinch. Then Mom said the thing that always made my blood run cold. You're the only one who made it, Mike. You're supposed to support us. That's your role. I looked at her calmly. No. I'm the only one who stopped pretending that comfort is a right. That someone else will handle it. I made it because I worked for it. I sacrificed for it. You had chances. You still do. They left eventually. Angrily. Quietly. Not a word as they walked out. The pie never got touched. Except Kyle. He stayed behind. Didn't say anything for a while. Just started gathering plates, bringing them to the sink. Then he looked over at me and said, I applied to 2 more places today. But I'll take the one you found. I'm ready. I nodded. That was the only thing I needed to hear that night. A month passed. Quietly. Unusually quiet, to be honest. Not in a peaceful way, more like a vacuum. Emily blocked me on every platform. Mom and Dad went back to their routine of posting cryptic complaints on Facebook about children forgetting their roots. I didn't respond. Kyle was the only one who stayed in touch. He texted regularly. Not a lot, just updates. Training was intense, but he was doing well. The money was real. On the last Friday of the month, He sent me a photo of his first paycheck. $3,825. No emojis. No long message. Just the image and the word, thanks. The next week, I got a call from him around 11 p.m. She's freaking out, he said. I already knew who he meant. Emily was demanding he give her $600 for essentials, even though rent had already been paid, and she hadn't worked a day in her life. She refused to touch the job listing I'd sent. According to Kyle, she said it was demeaning. She wanted to stay home and focus on building a family brand, whatever that meant. I can't keep doing this, he told me. I'm finally making money, and she's mad I won't hand it all to her. I didn't tell him what to do. I just said, you already know. 2 days later, I got another text from him. No explanation. Just 3 words: I moved out. That one I didn't expect. He left her. Packed a bag while she was at the salon, and went to stay with a friend across town. Told her over the phone. He said she screamed, called his mother, and then blocked him too. She didn't even ask why. He said, just accused me of being brainwashed by you. For a few days after that, I didn't hear from anyone. Then came the surprise. Dad showed up at my apartment. He didn't knock. He banged on the door like the building was on fire. I opened it, and he walked right in without waiting. You turned your brother against his own wife, he said. And now your mother's crying every day. You proud of yourself? I asked him how many hours of job training he'd completed since I sent the opportunity. He didn't answer. I asked if Mom had even applied. He looked away. We're not children, Mike. We don't need your assignments. I nodded. Then don't ask me for money anymore. Grown adults figure it out. That's when he snapped. He told me I'd be alone someday. That people like me end up bitter and isolated. That money won't save me when I need family. It was meant to scare me, I think. Instead, I said, then be the kind of family someone would want around. He left without another word. I didn't hear from anyone for the next week. Then something strange happened. I got an email from a law firm. Not spam. Real letterhead, real contact info. Subject line: potential dispute, shared expenses and verbal agreements. Apparently, my mother had contacted a lawyer. She was claiming that over the years, my financial help created an expectation of continued support. In her words, a pattern of dependence that she now considered an informal agreement. I read it twice before laughing. She was actually trying to build a legal case to keep me on the hook for their bills. When I first saw the email, I assumed it was spam. The subject line sounded like a prank: potential dispute, shared expenses and verbal agreements. But it wasn't. Real firm. Real name. Real threat. Apparently, my mother had sat down with an actual lawyer and explained that for years I had been providing regular financial support to the family, and that this created a pattern of economic reliance, which in her opinion should be considered a binding agreement. In short, she was threatening legal action because I had stopped paying their bills. I didn't even feel anger at first. Just this slow, crawling disbelief. Like I had woken up in a version of my life where common sense had evaporated. I mean, I'd heard of ungrateful people, but your own mother trying to sue you for not giving her money? That was new. I sent it straight to my attorney. He called me within the hour, almost amused. They don't have a case, he said. You can't retroactively convert gifts into obligations just because you're upset. Let them waste their money. If they push, we'll push harder. I told him not to respond yet. I wanted to see what silence would do. And it didn't take long. Within 48 hours, I started getting pinged again. Kyle was the first to call. I picked up. They're unraveling, he said. Emily's moved in with them temporarily. Mom's telling everyone that you're abandoning the family in their time of need. Dad's furious that you didn't even respond to the letter. They're acting like they've been legally disowned. I asked if they mentioned the lawyer. Kyle paused. They think it scared you. They said you're probably panicking right now. That actually made me laugh. What about you? I asked. You holding up? Yeah. Honestly, better than ever. I've already saved more in the past 3 weeks than I did in 2 years. I can think again. I don't have to explain where every dollar goes. But he sounded tired. Worn down. Like he was stuck between being grateful for his freedom and guilty for taking it. Then he added, They're saying it's your fault that Emily and I fell apart. That you manipulated me into leaving her. I told him that was ridiculous. I know, he said. But it still messes with my head. Sometimes I hear Mom's voice in my sleep. A few nights later, it got worse. I opened Facebook out of sheer curiosity. I hadn't logged in for weeks, but something told me to check. And there it was. A post from Mom. A picture of us at a barbecue years ago, smiling, arms around each other like we were normal. The caption read, "Sometimes the ones you love the most forget who lifted them when they were small. All you can do is pray they remember before it's too late." She tagged me. Dozens of comments followed. Cousins, aunts, neighbors. People I hadn't heard from in years suddenly felt entitled to tell me how to live. One called me ungrateful. Another said I was having a midlife identity crisis. Someone even asked if I had joined a cult. But what none of them expected, what I didn't expect, was Kyle. He commented publicly under her post. "Or maybe your kids just got tired of being your ATM. Maybe they realized love isn't something you owe rent for." And just like that, the post vanished within the hour. Deleted. Erased. Kyle didn't call me. He didn't have to. That said more than anything he could have told me. A week passed. Then two. No new emails. No new threats. Just silence. Cold and tense. I thought maybe it was over. Until Kyle called again. Late, around 11:40 p.m. They just asked me for money. My stomach dropped. They said rent's due, and they're short. Asked me to cover groceries too. Then started asking about you, how much your new place costs, if you're working from home, if you've made any big purchases. I didn't say anything. I think they're planning something, Mike. Like what? I don't know, he said. But they asked me if you still leave your garage door unlocked. And then Mom said, he owes us a conversation, at the very least. He was quiet for a moment. I don't think this is over. I think they're gonna show up. They showed up 3 days later. No warning. No message. Just their car pulling up outside while I was folding laundry. At first I thought it might be a delivery, until I saw my dad's truck and caught a glimpse of Emily in the passenger seat. Mom was sitting in the back, sunglasses on even though it was cloudy. I didn't answer the door. They rang the bell. Knocked. Called my name like it was still 2015 and I owed them a favor. I waited. Eventually, I heard my dad say something through the door. We just want to talk. I kept folding clothes. Let them knock for almost 10 minutes before the silence told me they'd finally left. I peeked through the window as they drove away. No one looked angry. They just looked tired. Like the performance had cost them something. 2 more days passed. Then Kyle came over. He didn't bring anything, just himself. Sat down on my couch and said, "They came to me again. Asked if I could just spot them until the end of the month. You help them?" He shook his head. Gave them $20 and told them to figure it out. Then he looked around my apartment. "You've got space here," he said. "Yeah. Think I could stay a few nights? Just until I find something permanent. Emily's gone full spiral mode. She asked me for half my check before I even got paid this week." "Sure," I said. "Stay as long as you need." He did. Over the next month, Kyle worked overtime. Opened a savings account. Learned to cook more than ramen. He was different now. Quieter. Focused. He still talked to Mom sometimes, but it was brief. Controlled. More like someone keeping tabs on a distant relative than checking in with a parent. Then, in the middle of the 3rd month, Kyle told me something I didn't expect. I left her. "Emily?" "Yeah. I should have done it years ago. She only started caring when the money came in. And even then, it wasn't about us. It was about her comfort. She said she shouldn't have to contribute because she's the woman in the relationship." I asked him if he was okay. He nodded. "I am now." But then he added, "Mom and Dad started asking me for money again. Just small things. Utilities, a prescription, groceries. I've been helping a little." "You sure about that?" "Yeah. I don't like it. But I'm not you. I can't cut them off completely." I understood. It wasn't my place to decide how far he was willing to go. Weeks passed. One night, I came home and found Kyle sitting at the kitchen table with Mom. She looked older. More fragile than I remembered. They had been talking for a while. She left shortly after I arrived. Didn't say much. Just nodded at me and walked out the door. What was that about? I asked him. Kyle leaned back in the chair, exhausted. She told me it's been hard. That she never thought you'd actually stop helping. That she just thought you were going through a phase and you'd come back to your senses. And what did you say? I told her you didn't change. You just stopped letting them pretend you were weak because you were kind. He stood up, walked over to the sink, and turned on the water. You were never the problem, Mike. They just hated that you stopped letting them be one. I didn't respond. There was nothing else to say.